There's like this just dull crack thud, and I can just feel all the fluid rushing, you know? I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, I think it's broken. Master World 2024 and Jiu-Jitsu Con. We leave on Wednesday. Today's Monday. Just the last little bit of training, last little bit of tweaks, looking at some of the positions and cutting those last couple pounds. I'll be competing super heavy. I'm super excited. My professor's gonna be there. A couple other coaches, black belts that I train with are gonna be out there. Really looking forward to it this year. Hopefully, I'm gonna get out there and display what we've been doing. Tuesday night, I've got like 2 pounds left to cut, a pound or so. So we're just drilling. I'm with some training partners, drilling back and forth, getting a good sweat on. My professor, he's like, I'm done. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna get one more round in. So I get on there and I grab the pant grip, go for a long step pass. And my training partner goes to try to break the grip and kicks his leg and his knee comes across and crack right in the nose. And I stop and I'm like, oh crap, and I grab my nose and it's like, if you've ever broken your nose, there's like this just dull crack thud. And I can just feel all the fluid rushing, you know? I'm like, oh crap, I'm like, I think it's broken. And I moved my hands and I swear it was like a faucet of blood just started pouring out of my nose. It was a puddle on the mats below me. And yeah, my nose was like freaking all off to the side. We don't know what to do. You know, it's super late at night. The urgent care centers have all closed down. I'm like, I don't know if I want to sit in a waiting room of an emergency room for several hours. So we're calling around. So eventually we tracked down a buddy, another training partner who's an EMT, who was closing his gym down. So me and a couple guys drive like 30 minutes down to the gym. I walk in, he's like, all right, man, it's gonna hurt. I lay down on his front desk. He slides a ballpoint pen up my nose, grabs my nose, and then just pushes it back into place. Gets most of it. I get down, I look in the mirror, it's still off a little bit. And so we get back in there and he sets it. And it's straight. He did a good job, but so I'm like, dude, I'm out. Like, there's no way I'm gonna freaking compete now, you know, who knows? So we fly out there Wednesday, Tristan is competing, and I'm watching everybody compete. You know, I got a bunch of friends on the mat, you know, they're doing well, you know, like good matches out there. And my body just feels so strong and healthy. And I'm just like, my nose hurts so bad. But I'm like, I don't know, man, I think I can, you know, maybe it feels okay. And I'm just like, dude, I think I should do this. And I didn't bring a gi, I didn't bring anything. So I run over to a check scale, jump on the check scale, and I've got like 2.5 pounds to lose. My first match would be in like 3 or 4 hours. So I go use the bathroom. I come back and I'm like, all right, 2 pounds. And a buddy of mine, my professor who's there, has like a sauna suit, right? It's like 100 degrees outside in Las Vegas. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's somebody go buy me a gi. I need a belt. So they went and like bought a gi, bought a cheap belt. I run outside and I just start running, start cutting all this weight. I ended up cutting 4 pounds in about 45 minutes because of how hot it was. So I get on the check scale, I can rehydrate, get a bunch of stuff, jump on the mat, and then flip and compete, you know, with a broken nose. Okay, so my first match, we go out there and it's this professor looking like dude, kind of wire rim glasses, a little bit of facial hair, kind of real. I mean, he legit looks like he teaches at a college somewhere. And you know, obviously I positionally dominated, but the thing is it actually caught me off guard how explosive he was. He kind of rolled into almost an omoplata sweep at one point. I passed his guard and he was bucking and he almost kind of threw me. And one of the takeaways is, and this is why I love jiu-jitsu, is honestly, you cannot judge someone by the way they look. You know, there is too many nerd looking dudes out there that are total killers on the mat, you know? And I might have, you know, thoroughly won that match, but he put up a ridiculous fight. And honestly, one of the things that in terms of positionally for me, that was fun to watch is I do a lot of drilling with chaining moves together. So instead of, you know, we drill a lot here, the way I teach moves is there's sequences that you you drill, and so you're able to connect the dots versus just hitting a technique and technique and technique. It's more of like I sort of picture it like a funnel or like an entry move that then branches into what you're doing. And that match for me was like a display of those sort of positional entries where you're initiating with a particular attack and it just chains into the back attack, spinning around, transitioning, you know, and just the way that those sort of positions connect together. So it was fun to feel that in the match. The second match, he had some really tight lapel grips that he kept playing. It actually stalled me out. I was up on points, but the way that he was attacking, wrapping the lapel, it really kind of immobilized me in a way that I wasn't really expecting at the time. And so I'm really glad in that match I was able to stay patient and not typically, and I've made these mistakes in matches before where I felt that and then sort of felt the need to pressure out of a position, and it's ended up costing me a sweep, and then I'll lose the match, you know, and I was up on points, I'm winning the match, and then I make a mistake like that. And so, you know, I stayed patient, I was up on points, positionally controlled, you know, I ended up being in his closed guard towards the end of the match, saw how much time was on the mat, and then time was left on the clock, and then just sort of maintained position. And I would have passed his guard had I been able to have the opportunity, but there was definitely some strategic stalling towards the end of that match. Just, there's a lot to lose with a silly mistake towards the end of a match. You know, there's 30, 40 seconds left, and he's gripping from closed guard in ways that I knew if I really sort of exposed myself, I would have gone for a ride. So just being able to stay aware, stay patient in that match, I think that was great. It was crazy. So I won my first two matches, really good matches. My third match, I get out there, and the guy was a strong wrestler, so I pull guard, working close guard, was doing pretty good, and at the very end, it was 0-0, but positionally, I was sort of pushing the pace, almost swept him a couple of times, was doing stuff. At the very end, I go for a butterfly sweep, I miss it, and he goes to start to pass my guard, so I quickly roll the turtle, and before I can sit back into a guard, I'm trying to calibrate and get out there, and I just freeze for a second. The ref calls an advantage with 3 seconds left. And then that was the guy who ended up winning the division. So, you know, a bit of a consolation. But I think for me, the huge win is, you know, say what you will, I flipping went out there and competed with a broken nose. That's a huge win for me, you know, and all in all, it was amazing. The last few years, I haven't stayed consistent competing, and so I'd like to stay over the next year, every month, every couple of months, at least have something that's keeping me on the mat. It keeps my teaching sharp, keeps me honest with techniques, and you know, it's hard to manage both. So, you know, I got to be a good coach first and foremost. Competition for me now comes second, so got to manage that well. Yeah.